All right, well, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Today, our optional excellence in management session is leading through effective communication. So during this session, we're going to do a little review on the power and the impact effective communication can have on you and those around you. So let's get started with a brief reflection. The first step in the acquisition of wisdom is silence. The second, listening. The third, memory. The fourth, practice. And the fifth, teaching others. This is a quote from Solomon ibn Gabriel, which I think is pretty appropriate for today's topic. So, leading through effective communication. Today we're going to talk about it and how it impacts your ability to work with others and be a team player, regardless of your position or role within the organization. Effective communication helps us better understand a person or situation and enables us to resolve differences, build trust and respect, and create environments where creative ideas, problem solving, affection, and caring can flourish. As simple as communication seems, much of what we try to communicate to others and what others try to communicate to us can get misunderstood, and as we have learned, this can lead to conflict. How many of you have ever tried or seen someone try to negotiate with a 2-year-old? It was probably a little comical or a little frustrating depending on where you were coming from. So think about why that didn't work. You and the 2-year-old have really different goals and a very different level of understanding. There are many factors that contribute to miscommunication. Today, we're going to focus on the skills to help you avoid miscommunications and show you how to lead through effectively communicating to people at work and even at home. So let's talk about building the foundation. Really, communication is a tool that is used every day. It's important to keep your tools sharp in order to be an effective communicator, and it's something that you really must work on and practice every day. It may not sound like fun, but trust me, it's worth it. Even the best communicators work to improve their style and their method on a daily basis. So when it comes to building a strong foundation for success, it really does start within. It starts with you. As individuals, we are responsible for our own skill sets and the effectiveness of those skills. So if there's areas where you struggle, like communicating with others, chances are your messages that you're sending, they need to be reworked or refined a little bit. So let's take a moment and we're going to recap some of what we've learned so far through this program and discuss on how it can help you fine-tune your skills and secure a foundation for continued learning and improvement. So previously we covered the topic of building trust. Essentially, the key to trust is if you want others to trust you, you have to be willing to trust others. This is a prime example of leading by example. We found that organizations whose associates have trust in them oftentimes are more engaged and have higher productive working environments. In this type of environment, it's easier to communicate to either a group or individuals, because when associates trust each other, the barriers to communication disappear. So looking at your own journey towards your professional development, what did you apply from the Building Trust session? Really take a minute and think about it. Reflect on your efforts and your successes and even your shortcomings. I'll give you a little gift of time. So take the next couple seconds and really think about what you've done or tried to do or what you've learned. So, thinking back to what we learned in building trust, remember that if you want others to trust you, you have to be willing to trust others. So think about yourself. Have you made an effort to put trust in others around you? Have you had the opportunity to really lead by example? Are you making the opportunity? Are you opening up to others, sharing resources and seeking the input of others in order to build trust and build build better relationships and work towards a common goal? Are you making an effort to see the best in others? Putting aside assumptions or judgments is a key step to giving support and committing to the needs of others. When you build a strong foundation of trust with others, communication becomes easier and can lead to more productive outcomes. If there are no barriers to communication, you eliminate the fear of speaking up, and you end up creating a healthy environment that welcomes feedback and welcomes questions and discussions that ultimately will help you reach your goals and objectives. Previously, we've also talked about attitude and how attitude is everything. While we cannot control the events that occur in our lives, we can control the reactions to those events. I think that's important to repeat. While you cannot control the events that occur in our lives, we can control our reaction to those events. Just like with any change, whether it's physical change by exercising or eating healthy, or a mental change by trying to change our attitudes, it all comes down to habit. And it starts by taking the first step. You have to choose to be positive and choose to look for the good in others in every situation. There is real power in positivity. Have you noticed any changing, or are you paying attention to your attitude since we last talked about this? How has this impacted kind of your overarching change and what you're experiencing? As you approach each situation, person, or project, have you noticed a change in your ability to communicate? Are you sending and receiving messages with a fresh perspective? The foundation of trust and positive attitude will set you up for the next steps of leadership. It's important to strive towards a positive impact in your daily work, with customers, with patients, coworkers, and supervisors. In order to help you continue our impact, we're going to talk about the next steps, the next building blocks of leading through effective communication. And that comes from establishing credibility and building relationships. So it's important to remember that this is an ongoing process. The tools you use at work are kind of like your car. So think about your dream car. Brand new, off the lot, fully loaded. It has every bell and whistle you could ever want. I would bet that you probably work pretty hard to keep that car in tip-top shape. Car washes, timely oil changes, check the tires, rotate them. A car takes maintenance. The same philosophy applies to us in our communication skills. If you don't check the oil and conduct proper maintenance, your car or your tool becomes ineffective and it doesn't perform as you expect. So we ourselves are required to do a little regular maintenance. We can't just take one session, read one book, have one productive conversation with a supervisor and think, I've got it, I've nailed it. Working on self-awareness and self-improvement professionally and personally, it takes time, commitment, and maintenance. So as we continue to think about our tools, aka your car is a vehicle that drives your success. But how do you keep that car going? It regularly requires some fuel. Fuel is what will jumpstart your journey. Credibility is the fuel that keeps your car running and moving in the right direction. So think about your experiences. Is it time for you to refuel? How would you rate your level of commitment to this process of your professional development? Have you committed to anything specific since we last met? Some people have problems committing, which is all understandable. So if you're having some problems, what can you do to reset? First thing you need to do is you have to decide to commit. Decisions are the turning point towards real change. Think about what you want to accomplish and decide to commit to your goals. This applies to anything in life: losing weight, running a marathon, saving money, becoming a better communicator. Next step is you want to act on your goals. Arm yourself with the tools that you need to be successful. It's up to you to discover what you need to succeed. And usually, once you find the right information, your motivation just goes right through the roof. And also, think about what's holding you back and let go of that. Let go of fear. Let go of the possibility of failure or making mistakes. If you start your commitment focused on what could go wrong, it will. Your future is up to you. So let go of those thoughts in your head that are holding you back and take the next step. So credibility. It's a pretty big word. Credibility is a quality, it's a capability or power to elicit and inspire belief in something. So when you think of credibility, what comes to your mind? I naturally go to a credible news source, a credible story, a credible person. Credibility derives from truth. When you put the truth above all else, you make yourself accountable for your actions. which basically makes you're demonstrating that you're a credible professional. It's saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It's a pretty powerful word when you think of it in context to your team, or your peers, or your managers. The key to being credible is being trusted. Because the bottom line is that people need to feel that they can trust you. Credibility is based on a combination of characteristics that you exhibit in your personal and professional life, and they build trust in your abilities. So, establishing credibility is built upon doing what you say and saying what you do. When these two things are in conflict, your credibility can be tarnished. So in order to build and maintain your credibility with others, there's a couple things you want to focus on. So character. What is your character? You want to live by a code of ethics, be honest and accountable for your actions, admit when you're wrong or when you don't know the answer. Consistency. It's important to be consistent with your dealings and interactions with others. Control your emotions and approach disagreements productively. Seek win-win solutions so everyone walks away happy and the outcome doesn't favor one side over another. Communication. Building relationships and rapport should be a priority. Focus on listening to the others and proactively communicating with others. To establish credibility, make sure your positive outcomes outweigh your negative ones. Treat coworkers as individuals, not as a collaborative department. You want to work to build relationships and take genuine interest in others. Commitment. It's important to have a clear vision of your goals and the goals of the company. Invest in your goals while also investing in others. And confidence building. Inspire others. Make people feel appreciated and valued. It's important to take on all these different tactics and methods with true sincerity. Insincere people can be spotted a mile away, and it can damage your credibility with one person or throughout the entire organization. Establishing credibility is what enables you to build good working and personal relationships with others. If you have a reputation of being credible, it's easier for you to build relationships. People want to be associated with trustworthy people that inspire them, that are committed to similar goals and have a code of ethics. Build relationships for life. There's value in creating advocates now and in the future. So we've all heard the saying, it's all about who you know. Well, it is all about who you know. There's an advantage to establishing, building, and maintaining relationships with everyone you meet. So how do you do that? It's about making a conscious effort to make an effort. Pull from the power of positivity and share this with everyone you meet. I have a friend that doesn't know a stranger. Everyone she meets is a future friend. I think this is an amazing perspective to have when it comes to meeting new people and building relationships. I'm sure she's got more contacts than the person who waits for someone to approach them or isn't open to making new relationships or friendships. Every time you interact with someone, it impacts your relationship. Whether it's on the phone, in person, or even during a meeting, it's your choice how you choose to act and react to others. Remember just to be open. Look people in the eyes. Smile at them in the hallway instead of diverting your eyes. The smallest touch points can have the biggest impact on others. So what does it mean to influence through effective communication? And what words do you think of when you hear the term leading through communication? Lots of influential speakers come to mind. You think about Tony Robbins, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill. They all lead or led through communication. All of them have their own unique style, but each projected a persona that is innovative, supportive, inspiring, motivating even. They have a persona of being a hard worker, being committed, successful, wisdom, courage, integrity. The list could go on and on. When you think about these key words and you think about yourself, which ones do you possess? Or which ones do you want to achieve? Just starting the process will help you get one step closer. So, when you find your style and you fine-tune your skills, you'll possess the qualities that you want to see in yourself. Now, as you're working towards fine-tuning your style, we have put together some tips that will help you communicate effectively along the way. There is one fundamental, critical, and essential skill that we all need to learn, or relearn, or learn more about, and practice every day if we are going to be successful in our communication efforts. And that's listening. One of the most important and useful skills you can possess is the ability to learn. Like our reflection said, the first step in the acquisition of wisdom is silence. The second is listening. Sometimes there is something to be said about taking a step back and letting others speak. It sounds so simple, but listening is the most underused, underdeveloped, and underappreciated skill. When people believe that their ideas or points of view are being heard, being considered, and understood, relationships build and strengthen. Listening is all about making time for others. Most people need and want to be heard, and making time for people is a quality that's found in most successful leaders in any industry. Listening requires you to be 100% present so you can understand fully what your team member or coworker needs from you, whether it's help, advice, or just an available ear. Making time for others and being a resource for them inherently builds your own credibility with that person and can help strengthen that relationship. How many times have you had someone come into your office and they just need to talk through an idea or an issue, and you may have only said a couple words, but they walk away feeling so much better? Just by listening, you've helped that person. The key to listening is you must listen first before you can be heard. You must seek to understand before you can be understood. If this is something that you are looking to expand on or work on, we have some additional resources that are available to help you learn how to be a more effective listener. Please visit the Excellence in Management Intranet tab after the presentation, and there's some tips to help you improve your listening skills. Attentiveness through listening and observing a person's behavior as they communicate their thoughts will make the speaker feel acknowledged, validated, and valued. And there's a lot of power in that. The way to become a better listener is to practice active listening. This is where you make a conscious effort to hear not only the words that another person is saying, but more importantly, try to understand the complete message being sent. In order to do this, you must pay attention to the other person very carefully. You cannot allow yourself to become distracted by whatever else is going on around you, or by forming counter-arguments that you'll make when the other person stops speaking. Nor can you allow yourself to get bored or lose focus on what the person is saying. All of these contribute to a lack of listening and understanding. So to enhance your listening skills, you need to let the other person know that you are listening to what he or she is saying. Acknowledgement can be something as simple as a nod of the head or a simple, uh-huh. Now you aren't necessarily agreeing with the person, you're just simply indicating that you are listening. Using body language and other signs to acknowledge your listening also lets a person know that you're engaged in the conversation. How well you listen has a major impact on your job effectiveness and on the quality of your relationships with others. We listen to obtain information, we listen to understand, we listen to learn, and we should also listen for enjoyment. As you begin to enhance your efforts to listen, you will automatically begin to learn more about your audience. The people you interact with on a daily basis are essentially your audience, especially when it's your turn to lead a project or present an idea. When you understand your audience, you will better be able to connect with them, which will result in a team that's committed and working towards the same goal. You connect with others by speaking to their listening. So what does that actually mean, speaking to their listening? It's really about how you adapt your message to connect with your audience or an individual. It's about speaking to others in a way that they will hear you. As we said earlier, you need to listen before you can be heard, and you must seek to understand before you can be understood. We have, again, great resources available to everyone to help you get to know your learning style and your listening style, along with those around you. These resources, again, will be on the intranet under Excellence in Management if you'd like to learn more. So communicate with diplomacy. When you think of the word diplomacy, what do you think of? I always think of diplomats and diplomatic and international diplomats and international relations. So one definition of diplomacy is the art and practice of conducting negotiations between nations. It also means having a skill in handling affairs without arousing hostility. So while we don't work at the United Nations, I think diplomacy is something that can still come in hand around the workplace. The people you interact with on a daily basis are essentially your audience when it's your turn to lead a project or present an idea, and there are certain levels of negotiating when working within a group. When you work with a group to handle affairs, projects, ideas, opinions, and you produce results without conflict, you are communicating with diplomacy through a team that is committed and working towards the same goal. You connect with others by speaking to their listening. Communication can be challenging at times, but when you communicate with diplomacy, this method and tactics helps you get your message across in any situation. So when communicating with diplomacy, there are some challenges and goals that you should strive towards. There will be times where you want to inspire and motivate, but you will find some resistance. So how do you work past the barrier and connect with your audience in order to influence and motivate towards understanding and acceptance? Giving constructive feedback. Many people hesitate to give constructive feedback to others. It can be uncomfortable, but when you come from a place of respect and the process can be productive for both parties. And then communicating with different personality types. Everyone is different ideals, perception, personality. It's what makes us human. Learning to communicate with a variety of personalities can help you get your message across and avoid resistance. So let's take a look at each of these a little closer. So how do you inspire, motivate, and get their attention when there's resistance? There will be times when you will face resistance when presenting information. When this resistance happens, your message may not fully be delivered. Emotions can get in the way of a person or a group being receptive to what they're going to communicate and what they're going to hear. So how do you get your message across in an effective way that still acknowledges the person's or the group's emotions? So, resistance usually stems from emotions. In order to be able to communicate effectively, you must first address any emotion. Validating emotions helps others become receptive to what you are about to tell them. Once addressed, they should be able to concentrate on your message. You want to empathize and understand. By understanding their point of view, it will help reduce difference in perception and perspective. You want to remain objective. It's important to not add your own emotions to the situation. In order to maintain your credibility, objectivity is key. Investigate options that provide common ground. By looking into options, you're acknowledging and validating their ideas and opinions. The goal is to work toward finding a common ground in order to produce win-win outcome. Inviting ideas and feedback is a great way to breed an environment of participation and teamwork. When people contribute to a project or an outcome, you can find common ground. You want to work towards an outcome that meets everyone's needs. Again, work towards a win-win outcome. And be willing to improvise. While it's important to have goals and objectives, there will be times when it's beneficial to improvise or change your game plan in order to engage the group. So how do you give honest feedback? The key is being unconditionally constructive when giving feedback. When you do it correctly, you can actually strengthen a relationship and maintain your credibility as a trusted resource. Whether you're giving feedback to a coworker or team member, it's important to stay positive. Positive people are able to gain cooperation from others and build long-lasting relationships with coworkers. Challenges and obstacles will come up, but the attitude you apply to the situation will either increase self-esteem or destroy morale. Positive thinking centers on such a belief in your abilities and a positive approach to the challenges and trying to make the most of bad situations. Bad things will happen. Sometimes you'll be disappointed or hurt by the actions of others. This does not mean that the world is out to get you or that all people will let you down. Instead, positive thinkers will look at the situation realistically, search for ways that they can improve the situation, and try to learn from their experiences. So before we talk about the specific goals of giving feedback, there's an overarching goal that needs to be addressed. Giving feedback should be about taking the opportunity to improve or help make the person receiving the feedback better from when you started. Feedback doesn't have to be negative or scary. When you work from a place of positivity and work with positive intent, the process of feedback becomes easier and even more productive. So you want to work to increase the other person's self-esteem by leading with praise and acknowledging their achievements. There are different ways you can praise while giving feedback. There's something called the criticism sandwich, where you give positive feedback, then address the negative, then follow up with the positive. Another method is the you-we method. Address the positive by giving credit to the person when you're giving feedback. You've done a great job on this presentation, or you've done a great job on this report. And then use the we to address where changes need to be made. However, I think we need to go back and look at this section. This method doesn't make the feedback personal. You've done a great job working with the team, but I think we need to refocus our efforts. It gives a really good balance. You want to work to solve the problem. Don't focus on blame or point fingers. Work towards a resolution together and provide an opportunity for discussion. And seek win-win situations. Compromise is a powerful tactic that can help each person walk away still committed to a positive outcome. When looking to create win-win situations, ask for recommendations, express your appreciation for information and help, and negotiate. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. And it's important to, make sure you follow up to ensure that that person knows that you're still engaged in the outcome. Be fair with your expectations and be specific about your needs. So when it comes to communicating effectively with different types of people, you have to know each of us has our own style, our own personality. There's no right or wrong, good or bad, it's just the way we are. Our personalities are often reflected in the way we think and behave, and it's easy for us to see our own style as the best one or the only one. However, if this is the case, you may have problems with communicating with the larger population that has a different style than yours. It's important to be able to communicate with everyone, regardless of their personality. There are a couple key elements you can follow in order to have effective conversations with everyone you work with or everyone you interact with. So when communicating with others, it's important to remember to treat others the way they want to be treated. It's going one more step above treating others the way you want to be treated. This new approach makes it all about them. When you treat others as you want to be treated, you're taking the time to reflect about how you would feel and how you would react. So it's time to turn it around. If you think about treating others how they would want to be treated, you turn the focus on them and work to meet their goals and expectations. You give value to their perspective and you see it from their point of view instead of yours. By taking into consideration their feelings, you're working towards a reciprocal relationship, or one that's, built on a two-way street. It's the old saying, do unto others, but take that next step and focus on their needs. Speak to their listening. So a couple tips to help you communicate with different personality types. First thing you want to do is discover their intent. What is their goal? What is their purpose? And give them a platform to be heard. Use your effective listening skills to discover what they need and what they want. Discover what's important to them. What are their priorities? What do they want to accomplish? You also want to identify with them. Find that common ground. Where can you connect with them in order to find the common ground and find a common resolution? And never assume that you know what they mean. Different personality types can interpret things differently. Ask questions in order to clarify their intent and ensure that you're on the same level of understanding. And always remember that there needs to be a level of respect through communications. If you focus on the positive behaviors of others and communicate expectations for success, you generate respect on a wide scale. You should value diversity and convey confidence in people's abilities in order to respect within the team and between individuals. And always remember to celebrate success. As part of the process to validate others' feelings and emotions, it's important to celebrate successes when they happen. We are human, and part of our nature is we look for recognition. It builds our confidence and motivates us to keep working hard and working together. So if you struggle with motivating others, remember, it isn't always about recognizing the data on a report. When someone exemplifies the attributes of leadership, make a big deal of it. Celebrate that success. Empower others to bring ideas to the table. Your enthusiasm and support will catch on. People are enormously grateful for those who help them succeed, and that gratitude between team members makes them willing to go the extra mile. Imagine how life would be if we didn't foster success. This country was created by men and women who didn't agree day to day, but had the same common goal and vision. And look what they created: freedom. Look what the power of the shared common goal can have, even if you don't agree with the day-to-day can be powerful. And remember, it only takes one person to make a difference, and that person can be you. But going back, you have to decide to commit. You have to choose to be the person who strives to communicate effectively with everyone they meet in order to develop professionally and make an impact within your team, your department, or even the entire organization. When you make a choice, your decision will be recognized by the positive changes that you'll bring to the table. It only takes one person to make the commitment, and it can be you. So let's take a look at some people who have made the commitment and made a huge impact. Albert Einstein, he didn't speak until he was 4 years old. He didn't read until he was 7 years old and was expelled from school. Abraham Lincoln failed numerous businesses, went bankrupt, and was defeated in 26 elections before taking office and becoming a huge movie star from last year. Walt Disney, who was fired from his newspaper job for a lack of imagination and creativity. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times when creating the light bulb. Beethoven, his music teacher, told his parents that he was too stupid to become a composer. Henry Ford went bankrupt 5 times before becoming successful with the Ford Motor Company. And Stephen King's first book, Carrie, was rejected 30 times before being published. And unbelievably, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. People who make an impact are the ones that inspire, motivate, influence. If you think of all the accomplishments from the people that we just saw who failed initially, it's pretty amazing and inspiring. You have the opportunity to be great, to lead by example, be considerate, appreciative, and interested in your team and in your coworkers. Share experiences, successes, and failures, because this is what people will relate to and this is what they'll learn from. It's important to be open to learning new things and motivating others to do the same. Motivation and inspiration come from commitment, from your credibility, and from building relationships. So what will it take for you to be that person? It's time to look at your tools, tune up what you've got, and start building new ones. The great thing is, once your vehicle is ready and your tank is full, you'll be ready to start fueling into others. So, as we look back at everything we've done, we've got some takeaways. Think about these. Put truth above all else to build and maintain credibility. Truth, honesty, integrity will lead you to rock-solid credibility. Build relationships. Make an effort every day to be open to new opportunities and make and build relationships with others. Remember to listen. It's the key to your success. Treat others as they want to be treated. Go that extra step. And schedule your own maintenance. Make the time to invest in yourself and check in and tune up your skills and commit to your goals and make them happen. Thank you for joining us today. If you want more information, you can visit the Excellence in Management tab on the company intranet for more information on effective communication, or to view our archive webcasts, activities, and newsletters. And we look forward to you joining us next time. Our next session will be January 29th, where we will talk about developing future leaders.